Hey, bump that. We skipping the intro because for some reason we're having technical issues. I'm not hearing anything. I just checked and we're not hearing anything. So we're just going to jump right into it. What's up? What's good? What is happening? Welcome to the Sports Bar here at WTF Nation Radio. I am one half of this thing, King Smith, U.S. Air Force veteran, a.k.a. Flyboy Smitty, a.k.a. the man who finally got his beard trimmed up, a.k.a. one of your favorite analysts that covers sports and all things sportsing, as Spanky would say. But I'm not the only person that does sports analysis over here or sports commentary. I'm not going to call what we do analysis. We're going to call it sports commentary. I have somebody that I'm going to bring up, the man behind the fence, the U.S. Army veteran himself, the guy affectionately known as Coach. Coach, let people know something.
Oh, what do you hear? What do you say? Yeah, I was kind of wondering. I didn't hear shit on the intro music either. This is, this is why we're going to go get a new daggone intro song and everything else, man.
Exactly. We are going to work on that, but it is all good. Hey, Coach, how's it going, man? Are y'all getting that 80-something degree temperature?
Oh, dear God, man. It is hotter than two rats fucking in a sock down here in North Carolina. Are you kidding me? I mean, at this point, I might even have to trim my beard. In fact, I'm growing it long, so, you've seen it, and it's growing pretty daggone long right now. It's actually pretty nice, but I might have to trim my beard up because it's getting so daggone hot. I swear to Christ, it's been terrible. My air conditioner's been acting stupid too, so not too happy about that, but that happens, But yeah, it's I'm looking forward to tomorrow when some storms are coming in. We'll finally get a little bit of rain, and then hopefully this weekend while I'm out fishing and going to a baseball game, it'll be much cooler than the ridiculous weather that I've gotten the past couple of days.
Man, so this weather has been interesting. It's supposed to drop a whole 40 degrees here coming up between today and tomorrow. I said this, it's warm outside when you see black people out walking. I even went around walking around a lake. And I'm not somebody that typically goes outside and touch grass like that. So that's how you know that the weather is nice. When you see
I'll tell you, if we were set up and actually had all of our videos, I would be pulling up something about Uncle Ruckus talking about black people going out for walk and exercise.
Oh, yeah. One of my favorite episodes. Yes. Yes. I wish I had the Uncle Ruckus sound effect right now with the horn blowing. I would absolutely play it.
My name is Uncle Ruckus. I was born with revitiligo.
Good old Uncle Ruckus. We got a couple of people in the building already. Let's acknowledge them. Shout out to, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, Kade. Appreciate you tuning in. We got Jane Brown in the building over on YouTube. Give you a salute as well. We'll get some of the marketing out the way real quick. We are the Sports Bar here at WTF Nation Radio. We are not the show on WTF Nation Radio. We are one of these shows on WTF Nation Radio. If you tune in, there is a show almost every day of the week at 8 p.m. U.S. Eastern Standard Time Zone or at noon on Sundays. Let's start with Sunday. Sunday, you have the Reset with Dr. J, where we have our own therapist. She is a licensed therapist, comes on and she talks about all things mental health to help you get your mind right. On Monday, we got the Monday edition with my main man, Ice, where he covers all the things that's going on worldwide. I know Iran's been a topic that a lot of people have been speaking about in the recent deployments and movement of our troops. So if you want to talk that stuff, show up on Mondays. Chat with Ice. Make your voice be heard. On Tuesdays, we got Pop Culture Warrior, where he talks all things nerd and nerd adjacent. And that's hosted by station manager, Pop Culture Warrior, a.k.a. CQ. Wednesdays, you see us. Sometime in the near future, you might also see the Smoke Pit. That's on hiatus. It's coming back. We just don't know when. On Thursdays, you get Sergeant's Time with Ice again, who has one of the dopest intros of all of the intros here at WTF Nation Radio. On Friday, you get one of two things. You might get FTX, which is going to be this Friday, where the Pop Culture Warrior himself will come on and do all of the things board game, trading card related. We play tabletop games. We discuss things. I say we because sometimes I pull up. If it's not an FTX, then you might have our main man Nemo, who does weekend co-ops on Saturdays, but sometimes on FTX on Fridays, he'll come on and he'll shoot the breeze, either playing some World of Warcraft, some Hell Divers, some Division 2, or some type of co-op game where we're inviting people who are gamers to come on and game with us. On Saturdays, there is nothing. It's like a Donza day. Or no. Saturdays are weekend co-ops, my bad. And then we start the weekend off with Sunday again. So that is our host of shows at WTF Nation Radio. I did that with no script. Y'all, clap it up for me. Oh, man. All right, Coach, let's get right into it. I don't imagine that today's going to be that long of a show. You know what? It's funny, though. I don't need today to be a long show. Let me tell you what happened to me today.
What's up?
While I've been losing weight, I'm down officially 40 pounds as of this morning. 40 whole pounds since September of 25. Okay. Yet, as I was waking up today, my fucking bed broke. Like literally, as I'm getting out the bed, it just goes, yep, not doing this no more. And boom. Now, for those of y'all that may be wondering, how does that happen? I weigh a whole 248 pounds, all right? And this bed that I bought, because of where I'm living at right now, it was meant to be a temporary bed. I'm going to be moving here in a little bit. So I bought a cheap twin bed off of Amazon. At 40 to 41 years old, should not have done that. So this cheap bed did not hold up. It's broken. If I had the picture, I'd post it up here on the screen. So when we get done with the stream, I got to figure out my whole sleep situation tonight. So I don't anticipate us being that long.
Dear God Almighty, that is terrible, man.
Brother, yes, it is. Yes, it is. And look, for y'all viewers out there, I'm going to be purchasing the whole sleep number system here, Tempur-Pedic Nectar. If y'all got any recommendations, I need them. Put them down in the comment section. Shoot me an email at king@WTFNationRadio.com. Let me know what y'all are using, because at 40 to 41, about to be 42, I need to get some, I need to go ahead and invest in my health and invest in myself. It's about time.
Yeah, I can't tell you what to actually get on there, man. I'm so sorry about that, brother. My beds, I keep them, kind of, I'll say this. If you're going to get one to last a while, get one of those Tempur-Pedic ones, get something good and get something that is worth it. The best things, the three things people have told me that have always been what you spend money on is what you put between you and the ground on your feet.
Okay.
What between you and what you're laying down on your bed, and what your car goes on with between the car and the road, the tires. Those were the three things that you're supposed to be spending good money on and good quality on, because all three of them will make your life a hell of a lot more comfortable and a lot easier.
I agree 100%. So tonight we're going to be given a whirlwind of updates as the NFL free agency has officially began, and some of the news that have came out that have either happened and got backtracked on, teams picking up other players. We got the Jets being the Jets all over again.
Dear God.
And other NFL free agency news that we are going to cover. Bam Adebayo of the Miami Heat put on an 83-point masterclass against one of the sorriest teams that's right down the road from me. But that did not come without controversy. So we're going to discuss how legendary this 83-point scoring frenzy was for Bam Adebayo of the Miami Heat. We also have an update to Sherrone Moore as he pled no contest, and what that means for Coach. What does it mean for Michigan, and what does it mean for PAIGE Shiver, the victim, as she breaks her silence on what had occurred? We also have some other sports news, and if we have time, we're going to get into the chilling story. This is kind of a crime and law story in which former NFL player, who's also another Jet, Darron Lee, wrote some things you should not be writing into Chat GPT that got him into trouble. And we also have it might sneak its way in here. Sports gambling. There's some more news that came out around sports gambling that we find really interesting. Matter of fact, let's move that somewhere in the middle because I believe Coach is going to have a lot to say about this one. But first things first, NFL free agency. My, oh my, I can't keep up. What's been the biggest and what's been the most disappointing free agency news that you've heard of, Coach?
The most disappointing free agency news that I heard of was that the New York Jets, traded some of their picks for another safety and then signed a second safety. After the fact that they've led the league they trailed the league, became the first team in NFL history to have 0 interceptions throughout the entire season. They signed and traded for a new safety and hopefully another free safety or a backup safety to improve upon that mark. Now, that being the Jets, that will improve on the mark. Between both of them, they will probably only get 1 interception next year. So they'll go up and they'll have an improvement from 0 to 1. But any player that joins the Jets, I am severely disappointed in, especially underneath this head coach, this GM, and especially the owner. It's rather funny that when I saw all of the Jets players that got traded for or got signed by the Jets, the top comments underneath every single one of the social media posts were "sell the team, Woody." So those are the most disappointing things that I have, but I'm definitely not as disappointed as you are because, well, you shouldn't be disappointed. Your team did everybody dirty, and now I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think there's going to be a lot of players that are going to be trusting what the Baltimore Ravens are doing in the near future. This is a long way from Ozzie Newsome being the general manager of the Baltimore Ravens. Whomever the hell the GM is right now has not only screwed himself over, he has screwed himself up so bad that he's made Matt Millen, when he was in charge of Detroit, the guy who traded for Deshaun Watson in Cleveland, and all the other stupid moves that have ever happened around the NFL. The Baltimore Ravens might have done one of the ones that have caused them the most harm. I'm not going to call it stupid, but, the results are going to end up being stupid for them in the future.
Man, let's stay on that. So they pulled out of a deal in which it was going to cost them 2 first-round picks and basically snagging one of the league's, you could say, feared ends in Max Crosby, in which they had some concerns around his torn meniscus that had occurred in January. Now, in the end, I believe you're right. It could make people understand the cost of business, and it might hurt the Ravens in the future. Maybe, but they did land Trey Hendrickson from Cincinnati, who actually has more sacks over the same time period than Max Crosby has by 10 sacks since 2019.
Yeah.
And they get to keep their 2 first-round picks.
Yeah. And let me bring this up as far as what I'm going to consider buyer's remorse. This might have been one of the ultimate scumbag moves, and I'm speculating here, but I do not know about it. And I've read up on certain things, and I've heard certain opinions about this, and I'm formulating my own opinion here.
Mm-hmm.
Max Crosby, since October, has had a torn meniscus. The Raiders shut him down at the end of the season, and in January, he went ahead and got that surgery done. Now, the Ravens traded for him knowing that he had this surgery. In fact, the funny thing is that, Crosby even said he had no ill will towards the Raiders and he would like to have retired as a Raider after he found out that, they were going to get traded for him. Vegas went ahead and spent $270 million on 6 players, knowing that they're also going to have the first pick in the draft. Retooled that entire team in thinking that they didn't have Crosby's contract on the books. Now, not only do they have Crosby's contract back on the books, they have all of these players that they have just signed with the cap space not as available as it was once Crosby was coming off of the books. So not only is it screwing them cap space wise, but it's also screwing them over in what Baltimore has done. Yes, Baltimore just did a great trade, and they basically had the last minute option buyer's remorse for what was happening, but they knew what they were coming into. And canceling this so far into the last minute over something that they don't have any obligation to report what it was, failed the team physical. They don't have to report it. In fact, they didn't even report it. The Raiders reported that due to failing Baltimore's physical, the Max Crosby trade is rescinded and he's now back on the team. That's all the comment that they would have about that. And Baltimore still has not said anything about it. Now, whether or not Crosby is ready for this season, whether or not he's ready for training camp, whatever they wanted to say of failing the physical, they knew that they were trading for an injured player. Now, I severely doubt that Vegas, they are owned by Mark Davis, and he's, pretty much, mentally challenged as it begins. But I don't think he's mentally challenged enough to not list the entire severity of the injury. And from all projections, they know what was done, and all projections was that he was going to be ready for the season. Now, whether that means he's going to be ready for training camp underneath a new head coach, and look, that could be something that could be debated. But Baltimore knew what they were getting into, and last minute pulled that thing off. That is an absolute scumbag move, and I am going to say this regarding the way the Baltimore handled it. There's going to be players that are not going to be trusting the front office of Baltimore because they can think that they can have a deal, and they've now just shown that if they have buyer's remorse over somebody that they traded for, they can just say, no backsies, I'm going to go ahead and use this little out clause that we have, which I would say is perfectly legal, but it's kind of a scummy move in order to do that. It's like, I can come up with a better analogy, but it is an absolute scumbag move by your team. I would figure it would be my team that would do a scumbag move like that with a scumbag owner. But this is, like I mentioned, this isn't Ozzie Newsome's Ravens anymore. Okay, they got buyer's remorse, and on top of that too, they also did something in that Crosby trade they never did before in their entire franchise history, and that was trade away a first-round draft pick.
Yes.
They have never done that before. And now they did that for Max Crosby, and I think they got a little bit of buyer's remorse. So they have no obligation to say why they didn't do it, but it is absolutely scummy for the way that this whole thing went down. And I put the onus of the blame on the Baltimore Ravens. I feel bad for Max Crosby, but I also am happy that Max Crosby is now back in Vegas, but Vegas now has an awkward position. They traded away the player. They know what they got for the player. And, people around the NFL, they talk to each other. There either had to have been a phenomenal reason or there had to have been a scumbag reason for Baltimore pulling it out. But there was 2 first rounds out of it. Now you have the value of Max Crosby. Is he still worth 2 first-round picks? Is somebody going to give you more, like the idiots Cowboys probably would? Or was somebody going to give you less because they believe Baltimore found something and Vegas is hiding something? Both of them can be true, but hey, I will say this. I think that Baltimore screwed themselves out of that.
If I'm understanding the news that came out of this deal correctly, the Ravens were already in talks of trying to get Hendrickson as well after losing the center, Tyler Linderbaum. And it would have been dope to have had both Crosby and Henderson and that Ravens defense would have been, I think, a force to be reckoned with. But now I guess we'll never know. Do you think that the GM Eric DaCosta, that's his name, do you think that him coming out and saying during their press video that I watched today that the deal and it being something that got rescinded or them backing out of it, it's that it hasn't stopped his phone from ringing? Do you think that that's him saving face on how people might perceive?
That is him saving face. That is him absolutely saving face. There is no doubt about it. That is him saving face. I have no doubt about that. He's trying to justify a major screw up to the part that, you know, this news and this talk overshadowed an historic night in the NBA. And that should have been the first thing that we should have been talking about, was what happened last night in the NBA. But this news and everything that's happening with the NFL has overshadowed that news. He's trying to save face. He knew that he messed up. He knew he had some type of buyer's remorse, and he's trying to do the best to make himself look better so that Baltimore doesn't look as incompetent as the New York Jets.
Do you think that this was the best time for Mike Evans to get out of Tampa Bay? I think that it's great for Mike Evans going over to the NFC West, and it's great for the Bucs as well. It's not like they had scrubs sitting in their wide receiver room. They have a really good core of young wide receivers that are just sitting there waiting in the rings, and a lot of them had an opportunity to prove themselves when you had both Evans and Godwin that were out for chunks of time during this past season, and they stepped up and looked great. So I think that Mike Evans leaving Tampa Bay is really only sad for people who are fans of Mike Evans at Tampa Bay.
I think so too, but there's also something to do. And all right, it's very rare that you have somebody like Larry Fitzgerald who plays his entire career as a wide receiver for the same team. Okay. Even Jerry Rice moved on to another team. Terrell Owens was on more teams. Megatron, unfortunately, retired on the same team, but his team sucked the entire time that he was playing for him. So every great receiver seems to go through the end of it, and it happens with everybody. You know, I mean, shoot, nobody, you know, great players end up trying to get a second chance onto another team. Him going to San Francisco is going to be a great addition for San Francisco if they stay healthy.
Okay.
Kittle, Evans, Purdy, white boy running back. What's his name?
Christian McCaffrey.
Okay. You've got an explosive offense. The only thing stopping them is the team doctor. Okay. Evans is getting up in his age right now. He's coming off an injury season. Purdy's been injured here and there. Kittle's been getting banged up left and right. McCaffrey, man, I'm telling you, you know, as many hits as he's been getting and how much load he's been getting, the tires are starting to lose a little bit of the tread right there, just based off of age. Now, if they are able to stay upright on the field, if the O-line is able to protect them and the defenses aren't going to be able to hit them as hard as they can, and they stay injury-free, that is going to be a great move for Mike Evans because, well, in Tampa, he did have a lot of younger talent that was around with him, and he became expendable after getting injured. It happens a lot. Peyton Manning, for crying out loud. You know, they freaking tanked. They got Andrew Luck, and then, you know, Peyton goes over to Denver after that. Look, it can be great for him, but I'm just saying the injury history has me iffy about San Francisco this year. There is no team on paper that I can say would be as great as San Francisco, especially in the NFC West, minus, you know, Seattle. And Seattle's got to prove to me that they can, as champions, they can do the hardest thing, which is repeat as champions, because now the target is on their back.
Losing their running back, Kenneth Walker.
Yes, I was about to say, and Walker's also gone too. But in this age of the NFL, running backs are, kind of going around with different teams, and they can draft another running back to replace the productivity with Walker. I mean, shoot, I thought what's his name from Detroit would have been somebody who would have, that ended up signing. But then the Detroit just signs Pacheco. So there's, running backs are interchangeable and can be replaced and be found in the draft. So it's not as big of a hit to Seattle as you would think it would be. But I'm just saying there is going to be a lot of ifs around San Francisco. If they stay healthy, they, to me, will be the team to beat in the NFC West. If they're not healthy, then it's Seattle's team again. And Seattle has to bring back and perform underneath the pressure as being the champions. And now that's up to Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold is a freaking Super Bowl winning, former Jet quarterback. I know we're transitioning to former Jet quarterbacks and that little graphic that I had earlier, but it's up to him to repeat and come back as, as a Super Bowl caliber winning quarterback again this season. Be very interesting in the NFC West, unlike the AFC East, which is going to be another shitty season for me.
Hey, two other pieces of news, actually three. There's way more, but there's three that I'm going to highlight. The Colts have decided to officially re-sign Danny Dimes to a 2-year, $88 million extension, maxing out at $100 million. Betting that Jones is going to be the bridge or the answer that keeps them in the playoff hunt coming out of the AFC South. You also have news. One of the first pieces of things that came out really before everything kicked off was the Cardinals deciding to move away from Kyler Murray. It's being reported that the Minnesota Vikings have emerged as the overall favorite to sign him. Now, Arizona still owes him close to $37 million in guaranteed money. So if he does sign with the Cardinals, it would probably be likely at some type of 1-year deal as a prove-it deal to give some competition there in the quarterback room and a healthy veteran quarterback should something happen with J.J. McCarthy there in Minnesota. What do you think about the Vikings' chances of actually making that deal work? And is the Vikings a good fit for Kyler Murray?
I think we're going to see Kyler Murray about week 4 or week 5 after the Vikings go 0-4 with J.J. McCarthy. J.J. McCarthy looked like he didn't know what the hell he was doing when he was out there during this season. Obviously, I think he lost the team, and unless he works his ass off in this offseason, I think that he's going to have the same results. So I'm sorry to say this, Minnesota fans, but y'all should have stayed with Sam Darnold, and now y'all are just playing catch-up, with the quarterback. Kyler Murray is also another person who I think off-season-wise he needs to improve himself. Maybe a new team would help him out because when he was there in Arizona, there was always questions about whether or not he was going to be prepared for the game because a lot of people didn't like his mental preparedness and his game day preparation, studying, film study, etc. He was criticized for that often. And on top of that, he was also another one who was injured quite often. So seeing him on the field, while it was a treat, it never really led to a lot of success. There's other quarterbacks where that's happened to, and now that they've got a second chance of doing that, they took it seriously, especially in a new city. Does he have the opportunity for success over in Minnesota? Yes, he does. With the weapons that Minnesota's offense has and, their defense being as good as it is, they would have a decent chance in the NFC Central. I just don't think that it's going to work itself out because I am not a big fan of Kyler Murray. After the first or second season, and after seeing him with after seeing the season that and everything that he had that year that they were on Hard Knocks, I was not impressed with him as a quarterback. And since then, he has not done much to impress me as a playoff caliber, deep playoff caliber quarterback in the NFL. All right. So maybe this one becomes his chance where he matures himself and he gets it, but I don't see it. And JJ McCarthy, I think the game has come a little bit too fast for him. The system is he doesn't look as lost as Sam Wilson does, and he sure as hell doesn't look like he's seeing ghosts like Sam Darnold did with the Jets. But he's not as bad as Tua play football. And oh dear God, and if we're going to talk about quarterback situations, man, we got to talk about Atlanta, because dear God Almighty, have they just made a mess of their quarterback situations again.
I've got something for that, but before we bring that up, I'm going to go off air because I'm going to put something up that might get your blood boiling. So let's do that here. Let's bring this up.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And then I'm just going to sit back. And, Coach, I want you to talk about this graphic here that's on the screen.
Oh, dear God Almighty. So, ladies and gentlemen, yes, Geno Smith in the 2015 season, in the preseason, he was going to be set as the Jets starting quarterback. But then over a $600 disagreement, his jaw was broken in the preseason. That meant Ryan Fitzpatrick was going to become the quarterback, and Fitzmagic did phenomenal. It was the last time the Jets had a winning season, and they had like 10 or 11 wins, and they still missed the playoffs. But man, oh man, to go from fucking Geno Smith to Matt Sims, to Michael Vick, to Fitzpatrick, to Bryce Petty, Josh McCown, Sam Darnold, Trevor Siemian, Luke Falk. I don't even remember Luke Falk. Flacco, Zach Wilson, Mike effing White, who we should have kept. Josh Johnson, I don't even remember this dude. Chris Stadlever, I sure as heck don't even remember him. Oh, look, the guy whose freaking career at the Jets is summed up in 5 snaps. The first 4 he took as a quarterback, and the 5th one that happened with him as the daggone, with his Achilles. Aaron Dagon Rodgers. Then we had Boyles, Harrod Taylor. Oh my gosh. Justin Fields, the only quarterback I know that finished with negative passing yards during an NFL game. He owes the NFL passing yards. That is a terrible statistic. And then the schmucks that they had after him. Brady Cook that came in. Oh my dear God. And now let's go back to the same quarterback who started this whole daggone misery. Actually, I take that back. It wasn't him who started the misery. It was Mark Sanchez who started this misery, okay? And I have gone back all the way to 2011, going back to a Kansas City and New York Jets game that happened, that ever since that time period, the Jets have been on one unbelievably miserable streak going on 16 fucking years, 15 years, excuse me. And it was Sanchez who, after he tore his labrum in training camp, that Geno Smith became the starting quarterback in 2013, 2014. And then the 2014-15 season, he goes 4-12, gets what's-his-name fired again, gets he's all right, so he goes 8-8 in his first season, and he saves Rex Ryan's job. Then they go 4-12, and he loses the team, loses the locker room. Rex Ryan gets fired. I don't even remember what coach came up next, but whatever he was terrible. I think it was Todd Bowles. And then it goes to Todd Bowles, and then Geno Smith is still the quarterback at that point. Geno Smith, who had won 12 games. Now, I'm going to say this, which is one of the most ridiculous stats I have ever seen in my life. Geno Smith is tied for second place for Jets wins as a quarterback with 12 since 2010. Mark Sanchez and Sam Darnold both have 13. Geno Smith and Zach Wilson have 12. Now, granted, Geno only did it in 2 seasons, but dear God, nobody else has had one more, than the first game that he wins, he's tied with Mark Sanchez and Sam Darnold. All right. One of them has a ring. The other one's getting his ring blown out in prison right now. That's how bad of the quarterback situation is. But only the Jets can bring back a quarterback that 10 or 11 years ago got his fucking jaw knocked the fuck out of his daggone mouth and bring him back as a quarterback after he leads the league in interceptions. Look, if the Jets are going to be tanking for Arch Manning, and if I was Arch Manning and his family, I would do what they did with Eli. I would not want to be around the New York Jets. Okay, I would not want to be drafted by that team, and I would say it just to let your grandpa go ahead and talk to them. Okay, let grandpa say he is not going to the New York Jets, just like how he said with daggone Eli, he's not going to San Francisco or San Diego. Please go get grandpa doing it. What the hell's grandpa's name again? Not Eli, not Peyton. What the hell was King? I need your help on that one. What the hell's grandpa's name? The one who played for the Saints, the original Manning. Whatever the hell his name is. I know King's pulling him up, but if any of you guys that are in there, I will say this. Oh, first off, hey Susan. Yeah, okay. Farts. Well, as much as people would like to actually think about, you women flatulence, I really don't want to put that out. But yeah, just the fact that Manning's grandpa needs to go ahead and let him know, hey, he's not going to the Jets. That's what needs to happen. Archie Manning, not Arch Manning, Archie Manning.
I was typing it too fast.
I couldn't remember the daggone. I kept saying Arch, and yeah, it's right, Archie. Man, oh freaking man! You know what? This is going to be another year where I'm going to have to watch the NFL Red Zone channel, and I will say this regarding the NFL Red Zone channel: it is the New York Jets' greatest. It's a New York Jets fan's greatest asset to ever watch. It's the best thing to watch because you're never going to see your team in the red zone. You're going to see what other teams look like when they actually score, and it's going to get you away, except for when they post the score of the game when it's 27-3 in the second quarter against the damn Patriots. You're at least going to be happy. But then, of course, at the fourth quarter, they'll end up scoring an inexplicable touchdown against the fourth string and the water boy defenses that they end up pulling out. And, they'll screw up the over-under for you. But it's the fucking New York Jets. What can I say except it's the New York Jets? I'm going to be in misery again. I'm going to be fucking pissed off. And I'm going to say this, man. If Aaron Glenn has a job at week 17, I hope week 17 is at home and it snows there. And if he is still employed as the coach, I can guarantee you that ice balls will be thrown at him if it snows anywhere near the Meadowlands. And he will be booed out of the stadium like you have never heard anybody get booed before. And if Woody Johnson ever shows up to a Jets game, there better be a chant of sell the team anytime he is shown on the damn screen. Everybody should just chant sell the team anytime. Just look at the owner's box every game and chant sell the team. No JETS, Jets. It is SELL, sell the team.
Yeah. We got a question in the chat, and then we will move to our next story here. Thoughts on where Crosby will end up? Does he stay a Raider? Or what would be your guess of a team? The Lions. Isn't he from Michigan? Just a wild guess from me is all. So that's a good question, and I wish that we would have actually touched on that. My thoughts is this. I believe that if the Cowboys can find a way to get the cap space for him, because I don't think that they're really solid on cap right now, they've stayed out of the news. You haven't really heard any free agency splash down there in Dallas. So a splashy type acquisition, I would say, would be the Dallas Cowboys. But speaking about Michigan, I'm not sure what college Max Crosby went to, but I know he is from Michigan. So if he did go to a college out in Michigan and he is from that area, with him being in the league as well as he is now, then maybe he wants to go back home. So that could be an incentive for him. And it might not necessarily be about the money. It might just be about what's a good family fit for him as he gets towards the latter half of his career. Coach, you were laughing about my Cowboys prediction.
Oh, why? Yeah. I am so laughing about your Cowboys prediction because our friends at Riot Comedy once again had a phenomenal video about this whole Max Crosby situation that broke earlier today. In fact, King, I am going to send this into the chat if you would like to add this, but you gotta see this. This was by far one of the funniest things that I have had to say regarding, one of the funniest things that I saw about this. And you're mentioning now, the Cowboys. Well, let's just look at the video right there, man. I sent the video. If you could pull it up and just play that video from Riot Comedy. These guys are great. And yeah, they're definitely going to be summing up how I feel regarding about this. Oh, and Susan, now I get what you were talking about the flatulence of putting in the fart thing right there, because, well, I don't remember what it was that I said in one of the comments, but it did have to do with breaking wind. Now I get what you were talking about. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Hey, I like Susan. Susan don't come on and talk crap. We like Susan over here. Susan, thank you for joining. All right, I got the video up. Let me bring it up here. And here we go.
I want my draft picks back for the Max Crosby you sold me. You can't just return it after it's left a lot. I took it to my guy and had him take a look under the hood, and he told me it's already busted. It was fine when it was here. Don't give me that crap. Now give me back my draft picks. I got this, Mark. Tell you what, you keep it and we'll throw in an air freshener and some fuzzy dice. I know how you people like fuzzy dice. I do like fuzzy dice. No deal. Take it back. Fine. We'll just pawn it off on some other sucker. How much for the Max Crosby?
Told you.
I didn't even see that video when I gave my Cowboys prediction. That is hilarious. Talk about perfect timing. Wow. That's awesome. That is awesome. All right. We stayed on this. I mean, we could have made a whole episode, a live stream about just the early news that occurred around the NFL.
And we didn't even get to the part where Atlanta signs Kirk Cousins a couple of years ago for $150 million, then drafts Michael Penix to be his replacement, then gets rid of Cousins, and then signs Tua as their new quarterback.
We got Travis said, need to post that link. I'll put it here in the comment section, and we will also post it right now to the sports bar at WTF Nation's page. So it is
comedy. They are great, and they had that one up this morning, and I nearly died when I saw their depiction of Mark Davis. I nearly spit up my drink.
You know what? I downloaded the Tua video, so while I make the post over there on Facebook, let's play the Tua video real quick.
Whoa, boobies.
Hey, where'd the ping pong ball go?
After this tour, I'll take you to go watch a fight at Waffle House.
Tua gonna like playing football in Atlanta.
No, Tua gonna like sitting on the bench in Atlanta.
But Tua can't be a legend if he doesn't play.
Anybody can be a legend thanks to Legends Online Casino, where you can stack loot playing slots, live table games, or making picks on their sports book.
Anybody can be a legend?
That's right, even you, Todd boy.
Whoa.
Well, maybe not you.
Oh, man. We are going to get in trouble with a lot of the women who watch this show.
Absolutely.
Look, after last week's video, and Susan, I'm so sorry about that, but that was one of those front farts.
Riot Comedy, fair use, guys. fair use. Speaking of fair use, I hope that this next video I can play without getting zucked. Bam Adebayo is now second behind the great Wilt Chamberlain and in front of now third place, legendary, rest in peace, Kobe Bryant, in which he had an explosive 83-point showing against the hapless, no defense Washington Wizards. His 83 points did not come without controversy, as there was a crap ton of fouls in that game. And in the modern NBA game, you had to have wondered what the competition was like to try to keep him from scoring 83, and B, what the Miami Heat coach decided to do in trying to get him to chase that record. So I'm going to showcase a highlight and have it on mute while coach gives his opinion on what he thinks about Bam's showing of his 83-point game. Coach?
Yo, thank you. So I want to, yeah, you're good on that. So I want to bring this up that, you know, it was almost 20 years ago that Kobe lit up a hapless Toronto team that also didn't have Vince Carter, didn't have actually might have had Chris Bosh, but Bosh wasn't the great player that he was at that point and wasn't doing all that well. And he ended up scoring 81 on him on one of the greatest nights. And I will also say one of the better shooting nights, definitely over 50% and definitely over 50% from the free throw line. Wilt Chamberlain, his 100-point game over in Hershey, Pennsylvania against the New York Knicks, came against the 6'5" center for the New York Knicks. And Wilt Chamberlain was also 7'1". So there was a size differential between this. Now, for years upon years, and all the way up until Kobe, I could possibly tell you all of the players that had scored 70 points in a game. In fact, if I'm correct, it was Elgin Baylor, it was Wilt, who did it like 3 or 4 times. It was David Robinson. George Gervin, I believe, did it once as well. Jordan came close. His highest was 69, but never got to 70 points in a game. And then Kobe with 81. Now, since the modern NBA that has come, that has gotten rid of hand checking. We're not talking about going down to the post anymore and scoring close to the basket. In fact, it has been more spread open. There are now 12 players that have scored 70 or more in a game. Luka being one, Dame being another, Donovan Mitchell. I know there's somebody else I'm missing, as well as Bam Adebayo. And let me be as blunt as I can. I never thought that of any of those players that Bam Adebayo would have had the talent enough to have scored above 70 points, let alone 83. I think a lot of people are having a bad taste in their mouths because this has become a product of the modern NBA. We are seeing scoring increase. We are seeing a lack of defense because of, the softness and the widespread and the wide out play of that. But what we're also seeing right now is, well, I'm going to call this almost everything now is a foul. SGA, who has also broken another one of Wilt Chamberlain's records by scoring 20 points consecutively in 126 games and is going for 127 tonight, is a master at getting fouls called against him and getting to the free throw line. James Harden came the closest that any player has come to scoring 3,000 points since Michael Jeffrey Jordan did during the 86-87 season. And his main thing that he was doing was the step back travel 3, but also getting fouled on most of the plays because of how late it's come. Bam Adebayo, with the number of fouls that he was receiving as he was going up, shot 43 free throws and made 36, both of them NBA records. 36 points. So that means 47 of his points came from field goals. Now, I'm also going to make a mention about this where I also feel a little sick regarding this. Bam Adebayo is the only player to have scored above 70 points that shot below 50% from the field.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, he had a ton of free throws, but that's part of being the soft NBA that's happening right now. But I will also mention this. Kobe would agree to this, and there's a lot of other people that would agree. If Kobe were still alive, he would agree to this. Records were made to be broken. Greatness is what everybody tries to transcend to be. He had the game of his life. He's never going to have a game like this again. Is Bam Adebayo going to make it into the Hall of Fame? I don't think so. All right. I mean, I don't think Donovan Mitchell will. Dame has had a prolonged career, but Dame's one of those ones like, oh, daggone, the one who played for the Knicks that they're trying, Carmelo Anthony. He's going to be one of those players right there that's going to be a great player, but hasn't won a championship. CP3 has had the longevity. Bam Adebayo is only at 7 years, so don't talk to me now about his greatness, because out of all the great NBA players that have played this season, not one time did I ever mention Bam Adebayo. And I don't think Bam Adebayo is one of them, but he had the game of his daggone life. So hats off to him for having the game of your life. Hats off to playing in an era where scoring and foul shooting are more prolific and the pace of the game is absolutely ridiculous. And congratulations on, doing it against a sorry team, because all of these games that we're talking about have a lot of things in common. Not a lot of people are doing it against, the greatest of the greats. They're doing it against the worst of the worst. Toronto was terrible. In fact, I believe Toronto got the number 1 pick of that year in the NBA draft, and that ended up Bargnani, I believe, was the player that he ended up getting drafted on. I can't tell you about the New York Knicks, against Wilt Chamberlain, because I don't know what year it was, and all I remember is Wilt holding 100. But when Bam said, Wilt, me, Kobe, to kind of sum everything up, that's a great company to be with, man. And it's a great accomplishment to do it, but you are a product of this time. And I bring this up too because we've gone through this in the NFL. How many 5,000-yard passers did we have before Matthew Stafford, before Drew Brees, before Peyton Manning, before Tom Brady? How many 5,000-yard passers were there? There was only one, and that was Dan Marino. Different eras have been playing where there's more prolific receiving yards, there's more prolific scoring, there's more prolific, everything. Baseball, we can go back to the mid-90s and the 2000s regarding the prolifics of the 50 home run seasons, obviously aided by steroids. So this 83 games is a product of an era in which scoring is up and defense is terrible. So congratulations on it. It's still going to be a record. It's not going to be as revered as Kobe's 81 game. It's definitely not as historic as Wilt's 100 game, but it's deserving as a second place.
Man, bump that. Put some respect on Bam's name, Coach. This guy over his career is averaging 16 points and just under 9 rebounds a game. And I think that Bam,
that doesn't scream Springfield, Massachusetts to me.
It doesn't scream Hall of Fame. However, if he were to average that, I don't know. He could be all right. Dwight Howard, Hall of Famer or not?
Dwight Howard won an MVP, brought his team to the NBA Finals, and actually ended up winning a championship with the with the Lakers during the COVID season. So, am I going to say yes? Yeah, I am. He was also a how many time Defensive Player of the Year? 3 or 4 time Defensive Player of the Year?
3, I think. I'd have to look it up.
Yeah. What is it? Bam Adebayo won.
Just saying.
Nothing. I mean, if you would have told me that Bam Adebayo was on the Miami Heat, I would have believed you. If you would have told me that he was on the Toronto Raptors, I would have believed you. this is another thing too that I am also going to be bringing up again. Football, and I'm going to blame this more on football. We are leading off again with football, and football has been gone for a month and a half now. The NBA should have taken full advantage and been center stage with a lot of this, because they are the best thing that is supposed to be happening right now, but they are getting dwarfed in every bit of media and in sports news by football, which is showing how dominant football is, but also showing how the NBA still needs to gain better relevance in the game and not rely on the nostalgia of their past stars. And I say that because NBC just did a throwback weekend with all the 90s graphics with, Hannah Storm back on there and, Mike Tirico and a couple other, and Bob Costas. And yeah, it was great to remember it, but you're now going to turn into the part where nobody knows anybody who's playing unless they're playing on the big teams. And there's no marketable star anymore, and the stars that you do have are old and fading. There is no superstar anymore. You can say Durant, you can say Steph, you can say LeBron. All of them are in the twilight of their career. And you might want to say SGA, but he's playing in Oklahoma City. Nobody is staying up to watch an Oklahoma City Thunder game. And he sure as hell is not dominating around there. The NBA is stuck in a position where, again, we have to pretend that we watch the NBA and we have interest in the NBA up until the playoffs. Because
I do.
The
because
best basketball that's happening right now is being played in the NCAA when the men's tournaments for all the conferences are happening and the women are wrapping up their tournaments.
Yeah. Speaking of, are we going to do a March Madness tournament?
Oh, I didn't even think about that. But
Me neither.
Did we do one last year?
We did.
Oh, fuck me.
Let's do another one.
Yeah, we're going to have. Yeah, I think we're going to do another one. So let me get that thing up and running on tonight. I'll get that. We'll get that out on U.S. Army WTF Moments, WTF Nation Radio, and on the Sports Bar. We will get the links out there. It will be an ESPN run.
I did not think about that until
I did not think about that either. So that being said, yeah, let's do it. And let me go ahead and put out my same wager. The winner of this one will go ahead and get a pair of Jordans on me.
Hey, all right. Y'all heard it. So WTF Nation Radio, March Madness tournament. Winner, get a pair of Jordans purchased and delivered by my main man, Coach. Now, I have one other thing about Bam that I thought was interesting, too. Of all those free throws, if you'd have told me that he went to the free throw line as many times as he did, I would have said how many players fouled out. And not one single Wizard player fouled out in that game. There were several with 5 that were close, but nobody fouled out. And I found that fascinating. And you have to give the big man props for having the stamina and the offensive skill to make as many free throws as he did. Because if
I do give that. But I mean, I'm also going to say that, free throws are free throws unless, you're Andre Drummond or Shaquille O'Neal, when that's when they become foul shots. So the free throw is the second most fundamental thing any basketball player can do aside from dribble.
Okay. We're going to do this. Y'all need to be following. Matter of fact, I'm going to put the link to the Sports Bar's Facebook page. I did my push-ups, Coach. I just never sent them to you. So I need to actually send you those videos. I'm going to put a link to the Sports Bar here at WTF Nation Radio in the chat, because if you say it's fundamental, if I were to really try, out of 10 free throw shots, how many do you think that I'd make? Don't even give me an over-under. I want an exact number.
5.
Oh, man. I'll tell you right now, I will make less than 5. I would be happy if I made 2. So I am going to do that. I got some time this weekend.
You mean to tell me that my white ass would actually outshoot you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, I am white, so I know how to shoot. So
I am going to take my camera to the base gym and I'm going to put up 10 shots, and I hope I can make at least 2 of them.
Oh my God.
Coach, since you have ran this show before in the past, I've got to quickly depart, and I will try to make it back, man, before the show ends, but you have the floor.
I got you. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, hope everybody is doing. If you guys got anything out there, I want to do a quick shout out to everybody who is out there in the chats. Real quick, again, Susan, shameless plug for Go Georgia Tech. Look, I've got my ups and downs regarding the ACC. The ACC is going to end up being Duke's to win, with Carolina coming in second. And I will mention that Duke does look a little bit unbeatable this year. Duke is now going to be my perennial favorite unless they screw up inside this tournament and end up losing a player. Duke is going to be one of my favorites to make it not only to the Final Four, but make it to the championship game. All right, somebody who's putting this up, I'm just going to put this on here. I don't know what the hell this guy's saying. I don't speak bomb fuses. So we'll move on from there. Travis, I saw that you were laughing out from that. Do want to bring up a couple quick things. And this is regarding the WNBA. Yes, unfortunately, we are going to bring up the WNBA labor dispute. So for any of you that were not, that were living underneath a rock or living underneath a pebble, nobody really quite cares about this. The WNBA has passed a deadline yesterday to reach an agreement on their collective bargaining agreement. And with the players and the union still at a standstill, right now it is up to the players to declare a lockout, but this has been past the league mandatory date for them to not miss any games during the season. I'm not saying this as something sexist, but it is going to come off as sexist. Again, nobody quite cares if we are going to miss the WNBA season. If you are caring about that WNBA season, well, then you should be supporting your team and supporting the games. But on top of that, you should also be letting the players know that if they are going to be subsidized by the NBA, as has been the case for the past 30 years, then they should take what they think they're owed with an absolute grain of salt. Do I believe that they need more time? Do I believe that they need more money? Oh, my goodness. Yeah, they do. They do, but not as much as they think that they're supposed to be paid. Your team and your league is not registering any type of daggone money. You are not making any money. So let me be as blunt as I can. You're not going to be getting as much money as it comes. A little bit of breaking news, and I don't have anything down there on the ticker for me to go ahead and say this, but this is part of something that I unfortunately am not going to be very happy about. Just breaking right now that former Duke point guard great, St. Anthony's of Jersey City legend, and, well, now former coach of Arizona State, Bobby Hurley, has been fired after 11 up and down seasons at Arizona State. This is Bobby Hurley, who has brought Duke to back-to-back national championships along with Christian Laettner and Grant Hill in 91 and in 92. This isn't Danny Hurley, the NCAA championship coach over at UConn. I have been on record in past shows talking about my appreciation as well as my relationship with the Hurley family, going all the way down from Bob Hurley Sr., the great, legendary, and Hall of Fame head coach over at St. Anthony's in Jersey City, who won his first county championship against my father at Weehawken High School. I kid you not. And I've also known his family from when Bobby was at Duke, as well as his recovery from the car accident he had during his rookie season in the Sacramento Kings, along with what Danny Hurley went through with over at Seton Hall going up to his senior year and playing some basketball with all of them during my high school summers, as well as their daughter, Melissa. And I'll get onto that. I won't mention that one. But I have a tremendous amount of respect for the whole Kennedy family, and I hope that Bobby does find another head coaching job pretty soon. He is a very capable head coach. He is also a very capable name. Now, if he does not find a head coach coaching job for whatever reason because of how intense he is, I believe he would be a phenomenal assistant coach underneath Danny at UConn. And it would also be funny to see both of them yelling on the court at the same time with their father yelling. And if you guys ever watched a UConn game, Bob Hurley Sr. is about 1 or 2 rows back, and he's even yelling at the referees during the game. Well, that whole family is full of phenomenal, great coaching. And the coaching tree about the Hurleys is absolutely awful. Well, hey, Susan, I hope you can do math higher than me. But that's all we got from that. Okay, so I'll bring that up. Money, money, money for what? Don't know what you mean by that. Money, money, money for what? Well, the women do want more money because they feel that they're more entitled to it due to the increased viewers of the WNBA ever since Caitlin Clark came in. So that's where we come from that. All right. Last thing on the docket that I wanted to bring up, and this was something regarding Formula One that we had brought up a little bit earlier, and I don't have it up here on the screen, but for anybody who is been watching anything about Formula One, their season started this past weekend over in Australia, and the season has started off controversial. Not only is the new formula for the cars been criticized by the drivers and for the teams for having a lack of power, not being at full top speed, and actually being slower than the junior series cars, but it looks like they are going to cancel the Bahrain and the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix in April due to the ongoing conflicts happening within the Gulf. Now, all of us are not living underneath a rock, and we know what is happening right now with Iran and Israel as well within our backing. We are fully aware of what has happened to our troops, as well as the reporting that we have about this. But this is nothing new for Formula One. Formula One in 2024 actually had a race in Saudi Arabia where some type of missile attack occurred and hit approximately 10 miles away from the track. There is actual footage of cars going around the Riyadh street circuit with smoke in the background coming from the rocket attack. Now, we're not sure I wasn't sure if it was Hezbollah who launched it or something was launched around there, but the race did go on in 2024, even though there was some protest regarding this. Now, with the known conflict that is happening over in Iran, a lot of the drivers are very precarious and have already talked about the race is going to be canceled. Now, while no word has been officially set yet by the FIA, the precedence is there. In 2022, when Russia invaded the Ukraine, I think it was the Skopje or whichever, the Sochi Grand Prix, whichever they called it, over in Moscow or over in Russia, was canceled. At the same time, the Russian drivers were forbidden from participating in any type of international sport, which means Haas ended up getting rid of their driver, Nikita Mazepin, who was just one of the worst F1 drivers that have ever been behind one of the vehicles. But they also ended up having to drop one of their biggest sponsors, which was the Russian energy conglomerate Uralkali. And it just so happened that Nikita Mazepin's father is one of the oligarchs who was in charge of that company. So there has been precedence for them to cancel the race and not do that and not do the races on their normal schedule without any type of replacement. That being said, after the Chinese Grand Prix this week, there is most likely going to be an announcement whether or not these races are going to be canceled. And if they are going to be canceled, it will give F1 teams a nearly 5-week break to address the issues that the teams are having regarding the new engine setups and the new mapping. Now, for all the nerds that want to know about that, please go watch the race or go watch somebody else on YouTube. I would actually recommend Driver 61 as one of the great channels to watch it. But I will not go into everything about that. So, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know where King is at right now, and I do know that right now it's about 9:15. Susan, right now you're talking to me about Calculus 2. I took Calculus 2 in high school, and I have forgotten everything that I have learned in Calculus 2. In fact, my Calculus 2 final exam for my senior year, my last question that came up was a word question. and I had maybe about 20 minutes left on it. And instead of trying to figure out the problem, I literally wrote something down to the guy my professor that was, going to grade this. And I let him know, hey, I have no idea what this is, and this is a little bit too advanced for me to do this. I'll say this. I'm never going to use this again. I'm not going to take calculus. I'm not going into a field that's going to necessitate some type of calculus because I have no interest in learning the physics or the mathematics or anything regarding anything about that. I wanted to do what I wanted to do. I made a deal with him and pled to him, please do not fail me for this. Just give me enough so that I can pass with the respect and just have enough so that I can walk the stage, make my parents happy, move on to college, and never see this calculus again. And the professor ended up giving me a D on that final exam, which gave me a C overall for the end of the year. And then when I went to college over at the Merchant Marine Academy for that first semester, man, they wanted me to take calculus as part of it. And I ended up taking it, dropping it about mid-semester, and went back to college algebra, got that completed, and then had a couple other things. No, it isn't in lies in high school. I swear to Christ I did. And if you want to pull up my high school transcript, I definitely will. It's about 30 some odd years old, 36 years old. But yes, calculus 2 in high school. That's what happens when you go to a private school in New Jersey. Yes, we had calculus. In fact, my freshman year, I did Algebra 2 Trig. Second year, we ended up doing geometry and pre-calculus. Calculus 1 in my junior year and Calculus 2 in my senior year. So, yeah. And you know what, Susan? If you want to go ahead and curse at me, well, then you can go ahead and kiss my big fat white ass. All right? So, ladies and gentlemen, as King is not here, I am actually going to say good evening to everybody. Susan, I hope you have a better day, even though you don't deserve it. And I will catch you all next week on the Sports Bar. Have a great